We're going to install a plug-and-play remote starting system on a 2020 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Remote starting will be able to be triggered from the OEM remote. We're going to start by removing the side panel. We're going to use our plastic tool to pop out the panel. We're going to pull the door gasket back and remove it from the jamb. And we're going to remove the side panel. We're now going to remove the two push clips from underneath the dash so we can remove the under dash cover. With both clips removed, we'll be able to slide the under dash piece out and pull it down to clear the vent in this opening. We're going to now unplug the courtesy light and remove the panel completely. Now we're going to use our plastic tool to get this trim piece off of the dash here. We're going to start up here. We're going to work our way around, gently popping the clips. And this won't come off, but we can move it back. When we move it back, we're going to expose 7mm screws up at the top on both sides. We're going to remove the screws. Using our flexible shaft driver to remove the 7mm screws located underneath the plastic cover we removed. We're holding the plastic cover out of the way so we can get in on the screws with the flexible driver. And we're removing the second of two screws located beneath the instrument cluster under the trim piece that we removed. We're going to use our drill to remove the 4 7mm screws located underneath the dash. The first screw is located right here. It's a 7mm screw. And then the second would be here. Here's another one, and there's one more outside of the camera's view. We're going to take them out. Be careful not to drop that down behind the kick panel. Okay, we have all 4 screws removed. We have the 2 screws located here and here removed. Okay, we have some 10mm nuts up underneath the dash here. We're going to have to remove the 10mm. Okay, we want to remove the 2 10mm underneath here. We want to remove this 10mm, and then right above the diagnostic plug, we want to remove this other 10mm right there. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove the 10mm located right here and the 10mm located right here. So just so you see where we are, we're right underneath the dash. Here's the steering column. This is the diagnostic plug bracket right here. So we're above the diagnostic plug bracket and over here. Remove both of these 10mm. We can go ahead and we can release the dash. Going to apply outward pressure. If we have tight clips, we want to wiggle until the clips come out. And we can go ahead and remove the dash. Now, when we remove the dash, we're going to get about this far. We're going to have cables going to different things that we're going to have to unplug. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do. We're going to start here by unplugging these 2 plugs here. One of them is for the headlight switch. To unplug the headlight switch, we're going to pop this red clip back, and then we're able to unplug. Now at this point, our dash is down here. We're going to want to make sure that this airbag plug isn't being pulled on. So up here, there's a little push clip. We're going to go ahead and we're going to release this push clip also. With the push clip removed, we have a little bit more wire here. So we're going to want to take this hood release cable off here. We're going to push this in and slide the hood release back. This will release the hood release cable. I'm going to stand the airbag up here with the cable nice and loose. Going to be careful not to scratch our dash pieces. As long as we don't push on this and move it around, we should be good. It's a little bit of a to-do to get this vehicle apart, but we have access now. We're going to go ahead and we're going to begin the installation. The first connection point for our T-harness is the ignition push-to-start button. We're going to go ahead and we're going to unplug the ignition switch. We can access by reaching up behind the switch and pressing the clip down on the ignition plug and pulling the plug out. It's a little hard to get to. I'll try to give you a better picture. So we're looking up behind the ignition switch. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reach up and unplug the ignition. We're going to push the release clip in and unplug the ignition switch plug. So we're going to plug in our T-harness first. We're going to plug in the ignition switch plug into the open end. Be a little easier than struggling with it up there. Now we're going to plug in the ignition plug. Now the clip faces the firewall of the vehicle. So we can reach up in there and plug the ignition plug in and listen. It will click and lock. At this point our ignition connection is complete. We're going to go ahead to our next connection point. So we're looking at the opening where the light switch was, and we're looking at the two bus bars or junction bars behind this light switch. Okay, so with this T-harness you will have two plugs. We're going to go ahead and we're going to plug these into the junction points mentioned in the previous video clip. Okay, so I'm just going to clarify. If you look closely, you'll see that the white plugs are plugged into the green bus. We're going to plug our white plugs into the green bus also. And then the white bus has the green plugs. We're going to plug our green plug into the white bus. So I'm going to start with the green plug. I'm going to make sure my clip is facing the same way as the plugs that are plugged into the bus bar here. I'm going to reach up around and plug my first plug in. I didn't hear an actual click when it locked in, but I'm pulling on it a little bit to make sure that it completely plugged in and locked. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the white plug now. Again, we're going to match white plugs on the white plug side, green plug on the green plug side. So we've got that one plugged in also. At this point we can go ahead and we can begin pairing our module to the vehicle. To begin the pairing procedure, we'll need to have one key fob in the vehicle. As a rule of thumb, keep the second key fob away from the vehicle, not in the vehicle. We're going to locate our T-harness ends from the harness that we plugged into the ignition switch. We're going to be dealing with the 4-pin data plug first. We're going to have our module. On the top of the module there is a program button. We're going to hold this program button down while we plug in the 4-pin plug to our module. The lights on the front are going to begin to cycle. The first light that's going to light is a blue light. We're going to want to release the button when we see the blue light. Release the button. And I'll show you what will happen if we don't release the button in time. And if you don't, you can unplug the 4-pin and repeat this procedure. So I'm going to plug in, and like I said, the lights will begin to cycle. We're going to want to release on solid blue. So we released on blue. We're going to plug the remaining connectors in. We're going to start with the 20-pin. Then on the back side, we're going to plug in the red plug. Now we're going to plug in the white plug that we've run over to the CAN bus connectors, and we're going to plug that plug into the white port on the back of the module. Make sure that when you're plugging in the remaining connectors that you do not accidentally press this button while plugging in the plugs. That will affect the programming of the device. Okay, so at this point we want to have a key fob in the vehicle, and again the other key fob away from the vehicle. So we're going to push the start button 2 times to turn on the ignition. We're not going to hold the brake pedal. 1, 2. We do this, the ignition to the vehicle is going to turn on. We're now going to press and release the program button. The blue light will go out. The blue and the red will come back on and flash rapidly. Now at this point, we're going to push the start button 1 time to shut the ignition to the vehicle off. The lights will continue to flash. We're going to press the unlock button on the OEM fob. When we do this, the lights will change. The yellow light will turn on. Now at this point, we're going to leave the module the way it is with the yellow light on, the vehicle's ignition's off. Now we're going to remove the battery from the key fob. In order to do that, we're going to slide the key out. We're going to take a screwdriver, and if you look closely, try to give you some light, there's a big groove right here. Not the groove that the key slides into, but this groove here. We're going to insert a screwdriver and turn it to pry the fob case open. Okay, so I'm going to use this mammoth screwdriver because the wider the blade, the less chance there is to mar it up. So I'm going to just put the screwdriver in the groove and turn it. It's going to pop the case open. And if you look, we did not make any marks because we used a nice wide screwdriver. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to open the case, and we're going to have the battery removed when we open the case. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to set this aside. There appears to be some kind of dielectric grease on there. We don't want that to get all over. So we're going to set that over there. Okay, so now we're going to continue on with the programming, being very careful not to touch these electronic components. We don't want to damage them. Okay, so I've repositioned the tablet so you can see exactly what I'm doing here with the push to start button and the fob with no battery. So I'm going to place the fob with the coil side right here, this side, against the button. I'm going to turn the button on actually using the tip of the fob. I'm going to push it 2 times. Watch the lights on the module. So we want to keep this here the whole time. So we're going to push it 2 times, once, twice. The yellow light will go off, the red light will come on. We're going to go ahead and we're going to push the button 1 time again to turn the ignition back off. We're going to wait a second. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to turn the ignition on twice. We've kept the fob here the whole time. So we're going to push 2 times to turn the ignition on again. We're going to have the lights illuminate. We're going to have the lights starting to flash, alternate between red and yellow. Now we're going to keep the fob here. We're going to shut the ignition switch off. Now we can remove the fob from the button. So at this point, our lights are still alternating. We're going to reconnect the battery to the fob. And we're just going to place the case together, and we're going to snap it closed. And the case will close. And we will reinsert the key into the fob. At this point, we're going to disconnect the module, and we're going to complete vehicle pairing using our laptop computer and Windows 10. We're going to unplug the white plug that goes to the CAN plug, or the CAN bus plugs. We're going to remove the red plug. We're going to remove the 20 pin, and we're going to remove the power or the 4-pin data plug last. So we're at our computer. First we need to download the FLASHLINK Manager from Fortin's website. We're going to go ahead, we're going to go to www.ifar.ca. And we're going to select the Support tab. We're going to scroll down to the FLASHLINK Manager. We're going to select View Page. We're going to select Download Now. We're going to agree with the end user license, and the program will be downloaded on your computer. Now, here are the supported operating systems. My advice is Windows 10. If you're trying to use it on anything else, you may have issues if it's not fully updated. So Windows 10 is the preferred operating system. It does not work on Mac. It does not work on Android. So please don't ask me, or don't complain as to why it doesn't. So you would go ahead, you would agree to this, you'll download the program. You will have to set up a free account with Fortin before you can use the program. After you set up the account, they're going to send you an email. You have to respond to the email before you can log in. So if you don't see the email, please check your spam folder. Again, if this process doesn't work for you, I can't help you with this. I can only help you with using the program after you've got it successfully installed. So please don't contact me for computer troubleshooting, because I can't help you. I will say this, the program works on every computer I have. I've never had an issue, but if you have something that doesn't have all of its updates, then you may possibly have an issue. So we've downloaded the FLASHLINK Manager and we have it installed on the computer. Do not plug the programmer in prior to getting to this screen. Once we're at this screen, we're going to actually be able to tell if our installation of the FLASHLINK Manager was successful. So there are two different programmers that this device can ship with. There is a programmer called a FLASHLINK Lite. The FLASHLINK Lite is limited to 8 functions. So you can do 8 functions, and that's a combination between flashing a device or running what's called the decryptor process. So this process, if you do everything correct, you should only expend 1 operation using the FLASHLINK Lite, and you'll have 7 more to go. If you're using a regular FLASHLINK 4 programmer, then you have unlimited flashes and decryptions, but keep in mind you cannot decrypt a module over and over. You can only flash a module 8 times, and that's it. After 8 times it would have to be reset by Fortin, and whether they're willing to do that or not, I do not know. So, you know, you can't flash things over and over. You'll expend all the flash credits for the device. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. So we're going to plug in the programmer into the USB port. So we have the programmer with the USB cable. We're going to plug in. The point when we plug in, it'll take several seconds. The programmer will be recognized by the program right there. So it recognized the programmer, but we do not have a module plugged in. So it's saying the module is not connected. So it sees the programmer, does not see a module. So we know our installation was successful. So now at this point we're going to plug our module in. So we have another cable coming off of our programmer, and if it's a FLASHLINK 4, this is what it looks like. If it's a FLASHLINK Lite, we have the little teeny chip. One side of this has the programmer plug-in right here for the programming cable, and then the other side of this plugs into the USB port of your computer. So doesn't matter which one you use. So now we're going to plug in our module. So we're going to use the FLASHLINK 4. So we plugged in our module. Now the program is looking at the module. So once the program is loaded, the module is connected, and the program is looking at the module. It's going to start you off in what's called wizard mode. We don't want to use this mode. I've already flashed the device before I shipped it to you. So if you use the program like it is, you're going to start the flashing process again, which is already done. So you want to click the gear cog up in the upper right corner. You see the gear cog right here. You want to click this gear cog. Okay, we're going to have this screen right here. I like to leave it at 90% so that you can see what's going on. If you make it too big, you have to scroll around. Make it too small, guys with bad eyes aren't going to be able to see it. So you want to click Go to Pro Mode. Click Go to Pro Mode. Now I'm going to tell you, if you have the FLASHLINK Lite, Wizard Mode is not supported. So you will be skipping the gear cog thing, because you will come up in Pro Mode automatically if you use the FLASHLINK Lite. And that's as of now. Whether that changes, I don't know. But as of now, FlashLink Lite, you do not have to select Pro Mode. You'll already be in Pro Mode. So the exact year, make, and model doesn't matter. As long as the firmware is correct, you don't have to change this to your exact year, make, and model. If you want to, if you click this, you're going to pull up another screen over here, and if you change any of these, you're going to have to select them right. Say it was a 19. So if I put 19, then I would have to select the Grand Cherokee. It's a push to start. The installation would be standalone. Connection type would be T-harness. We don't want an alarm system. The Evo can be an alarm system. Now when we click load settings, we would be back to where we were before we did this. And like I said, the exact year is irrelevant. I'm working on a 2020. I just set it to a 2019. It's not going to make a difference at all. What is important is that we just select the decryptor tab. It's all we want to select. And we're going to select the decryptor tab. We're going to see this screen. We're going to click send data. We're going to wait. We want to make sure the box is checked. It will be checked by default. Automatically update Evo all when ready. We're going to wait for the decryption process to run. We're going to wait for the decryption process to run. The decryptor process took 2 minutes and 45 seconds. The unit is being updated. Okay, the screen has indicated that the decryptor process has finished and the module is ready to be reinstalled in the vehicle. We're going to go ahead and we're going to remove the module from the programmer and bring it back to the vehicle. So if it runs for a really long time and it comes up with this screen, it means that we did not sample the data properly. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start from the beginning of the programming process. Now keep in mind, decryptions are limited, so we don't want to repeat this process over and over. If you have to make a second attempt, before you make the attempt, this is what you want to do. You want to hold the programming button down. You want to plug in the 4-pin plug. This time we're going to release on solid red. We have a solid red light. We've released the button. We're now going to press and hold the button down. The red light will go out. We're going to release the button when any lights come back on. We're going to have the device LEDs cycle through the colors and go out. This is a reset, and we can now start the programming procedure from the beginning. We're back in our vehicle. We're going to reconnect our module. We're not going to press the button down. We're just going to plug the module in. We're going to start with the 4-pin data plug. We're going to plug in the 20-pin plug. We're going to plug in the red plug. And we're going to be careful not to forget about the white plug that runs over to the junction point in the driver's side panel. Now we can test our remote starter. We're outside of our vehicle. We're going to trigger a remote start. We have our runtime set for 30 minutes. The vehicle will start and run for 30 minutes. We can also shut the vehicle down. Now we're going to have one more honk. The doors are going to relock if they're unlocked. and it has to do this to reset your OEM alarm. So that may happen here. A couple seconds. There it is. Okay, so if we want to add a RF antenna kit or a smartphone controller, please take a look at the video in the link at the top of the screen. This video will show you how to add either a long-range RF antenna kit or smartphone controller to the Evo All. The process is the same regardless of the vehicle. Adding one of these devices to the Evo All will not change. There is an optional connection for the parking lights to illuminate during remote start. You may have some lighting coming on without making this connection, but I would strongly suggest making the parking light connection, which is done at the headlight switch plug. We're looking at pin number 1 right here. I'll give you a close-up when the connection is made. So we have a wire banded. It is green with a red stripe. We're going to unband the wire and we're going to route it over to the headlight switch. Now we're going to use what's called a posi tap to make this connection. It's a toolless, solderless connector. We're going to unscrew the lower portion of the posi tap. We're going to have a piece with a groove in it, and we're going to have a piece with a needle in it. We're going to slip the groove portion of the posi tap over the wire. We're going to screw the tap back together. When we do this, the needle is going to pierce the wire and provide a connection point. With the posi tap installed, there's a collar up here on this end. We're going to loosen it about one turn. We're now going to take our incoming wire, which we're going to strip about 1/8 to 1/4 inch of the insulation off the wire. We're going to insert it into the collar of the posi tap. When we do this, you'll feel it bottom out, and then we're going to push the wire in a little deeper. You'll feel it go in deeper. We'll now tighten the collar. This will lock the wire in and complete our connection. Do not test this parking light connection until you plug the switch back in, as it will not work without the switch. Okay, so we're looking at the plug from the back with the clip in the upright position, and we're connected to the wire located at pin 1.